Does anyone here own Nike apparel? If so, do you support the use of sweatshops? While you may think these are completely different topics, I recently found that they're connected through Nike's production factories. This company is the #1 selling athletic brand for most Americans' daily clothing and also college and professional sports teams. If one is giving the support of Nike, they are also supporting their work ethics, which have been shown to be less than adequate working environments. Nike was founded in Oregon in 1964. Their expansion began when Nike became a brand in China, the most populous country, opening a tremendous opportunity to grow into all of Asia. Adidas, their largest competitor, was focusing on expanding into Europe and allowed Nike to grow with the almost 2 billion people in China during 1975. Shoes were first made in Japan, and Nike was only 10% of their business. Nike tried making shoes in New Hampshire and Maine, but after the recession, the two factories became so uneconomical they were closed. Phil Knight, the founder, chose to move factories to Taiwan and China since 86% of the products were produced there and employed a large production of the community. Their city soon became too rich and manufacturing prices skyrocketed. The factories then moved to Asia because Nike was able to build their own factories, which were considered the most advanced and best physical factories in the world. The move into new countries was first viewed as an opportunity to supply new jobs for poor communities, but quickly turned into Nike paying the minimum amount to keep the workers alive. The new factories seemed like they were working well until 1990 when Nike was confronted with newsfeed on the terrible working conditions. Nike was using underage workers and paying them around $2.50 a day, which was just enough for housing. In 1998, the Nike chairman said, "It's been said that Nike has single-handedly lowered the human rights standard for the sole purpose of maximizing profits. Nike products have become one with the slave wages, forced overtime, and arbitrary abuse." One columnist said, "Nike represents not only everything that's wrong with sports, but everything that's wrong with the world." So how did Nike stay profitable during the exploitation of their company in the United States? After saving millions since moving their factories overseas, Nike was able to move the attention away from sweatshops by advertising huge names like Michael Jordan. The company spent almost $150 million during the years of 1990 to 1997, which was more than 4 times any other sports brands were spending. Nike also branded Americans with their logo swoosh by adding major sports stars into their company and left hardly any competitors until 1998 when the company lost 69% of their sales, letting Adidas take the lead as the #1 shoe company. The company had to change what they were doing or they were going to lose all their profits, making Nike confess to their poor working conditions and explain how they were going to change the problem. While Nike was a fashion company, its primary goal was image. After Nike fell in 1998, Phil Knight was more upset at the loss of the company's image over the profit loss and gave a speech that Nike would be placing laws into their overseas factories to improve the poor conditions. The first initiative was to stop using a toxic adhesive called toluene, which was used for the shoe line. Nike addressed another condition by only hiring employees for footwear to be at least 18 years old and the clothing factories to be 16 years old. Knight addressed the problem saying, "Nike has zero tolerance for underage labor. There has never been a time in Nike's history where child labor hasn't been a problem." Nike took a further step and created an organization called the Global Alliance for Workers and Communities that reports about the facilities and further improvements. With this new organization, the company pushed itself again and audited its factories around 600 times between the years of 2002 to 2004. Individual factories were given a score between 1 to 100 in a letter grade. If the letter grade was below a C, the factory was closed. In conclusion, Nike produced terrible conditions for its workers during 1990 to 1997, but the company realized its mistakes and took initiative to recreate the image of Nike. Some articles want to blame Nike for poor working conditions from the start, yet the company began overseas due to recognition that America's shoe business was going to pivot due to outrageous prices. While sweatshops are no longer a problem in the United States, they provide the majority of income for third world countries. Supporting companies that use methods like sweatshops is only increasing their use of poor working conditions and should be exploited for the reduction of their profit. Being a frequent buyer of Nike clothing, I was ashamed to find that Nike was involved with poor working conditions in their production factories. Even while they underpaid and used children to create products, they changed their image and placed implications for such behavior from the factories. Nike has proven that they can change and now have some of the best overseas factories out of any fashion companies. I hope this inspires everyone to research other popular companies and take a stand against sweatshop factories. Thank you.